integration between technology and human leadership creates a synergy that results in efficiency. By using automation and AI, leaders can concentrate on the more complex tasks, leaving the mundane work to the machines to carry on. Today's episode, we speak to visionary leaders and understand how they harness this technology and use it in their businesses for the greater good of not just their company, but their employees as well. Welcome to Visionary Voices Collaborating for a Better Tomorrow. Today we're talking about technology and leadership, combining innovation and human-centric leadership. My esteemed guests here, whom I'd like to welcome, Serigne Dioum, MTN Group CEO. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
And Amnah, Ajmal, Executive Vice President, Market Development, Mastercard, EEMEA. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Now, Serigne, if I may start with you, what kind of role does technology play in leadership, and how has leadership styles changed over the years as leaders have more access to technology?
Thank you very much. I think good afternoon or good morning to everyone. So technology is a full part of our life today, and how we live, how we behave, how we interact. And I would say that leaders should lead by example. So, and most of the time, leaders are people who are embracing the technologies first, so that the others can start using them and need to give example. But today, technology is making easy most of what we are doing, and it helps people also to focus on where you can use your brain and you can use the gifts that God has given to you, and let the technology to do the rest that everyone can do. So I would say that for me, technology is something which is improving our way of interacting with people, our way of leading people. But as leaders, we should always be trying to understand better and to also lead by example and help others to understand and embrace technology, because technology is an enabler.
Wonderful. And Amnah, if I can get your view on what opportunities does technology provide for today's leaders, and what challenges come with those, with the access to new technology?
Sure. So I think every challenge can be viewed as an opportunity. I was actually one of the leaders giving my own example of how I did not think that technology was an enabler. When COVID happened, I was hoping that in 3 months it would finish, because I cannot work remotely. How would I collaborate with my team? How would I do creative thinking? How would I actually do a brainstorming? How would I connect with people? It's only possible if people are together in one place. Right? I was not willing to adapt to the new environment. I was not willing to use technology to do that. And eventually, all of us, and some people were more open to it. In my case, I was not. I was forced to adapt technology. And then I realized that there's nothing more human than technology. I know people say technology is making us disconnected. I believe technology is a tool, as Serigne said, it's an enabler. It helps us to connect more. I'll give you a small example. When people were on those Zoom calls, right? From time to time, the kid would come into a Zoom call or a Teams call, or a dog would come in. And it would be kind of an icebreaker, and we would have a conversation. Now, it was incredible how bonds and connections were formed in a virtual world, right? And technology was the enabler. And today, if I look at it, like how many of the tasks which are not helping me make a human connection, but are actually mundane, and actually I'm able to delegate it thanks to technology, I'm spending that time more with human beings. I'm establishing more human connections. So I think the opportunity is huge. The challenge is, I think, more with, I would say, the device and the social media addiction that we have, right? And it's, we believe we can multitask. So I could be talking to you, I could be on my device, and that's not really giving 100% of attention to what you are saying. You may believe that I'm not listening to you. I think that's the challenge, how to be in that moment 100% present when people are talking to you or when you are listening. And I think that comes from when leaders have that empathy and compassion, and you're not listening for the sake of listening, but you're listening for the sake of understanding, because you care about people. So I would say that technology is an enabler and it's a force for good, and it helps us be more human. It really depends on us how we use and deploy it.
Great. And off the back of that, I'd like to ask a question to both of you, if I may. Now, what are the ethical implications when decision making is driven by technology, especially when it's related to your team members? And sorry, if we can start with you, please.
I think when it comes to technology, putting together the right governance is very important. So I think everyone is talking about AI, how we leverage AI, but also that is governed with making sure that the decisions that will be made by the AI would not be different, for example, if it was made by a human being, and that you need to train AI and you need to put control in place to make sure that whatever decision made by AI or technology in general is fair for everyone. And that is very important, and it is where governance and ethical committees in companies like MTN, Mastercard is very important and plays a very big role.
Wonderful. And Amnah, same to you, please.
So I think the reason we have so much of automation and technology and the scale at which AI can scale the use cases, it's because of data. Data is the foundation, right? But we've had data for years. It's just that it's being mined now in at a very high speed and in a very, very thoughtful way. But the biases exist in our minds and our societies, and we've been raised with it. So it's not easy actually for us to get rid of them. More important is to have the awareness and then put in the principles and the frameworks in place that would stop it. I'll tell you a small story. It was my daughter's 5th birthday, and she's small. She must be like the tiniest in the class. And when they went to birthday party, the person who was organizing the party was responsible for the kids' activity. He said girls this side and boys this side, right? And boys were going through this tunnel, and the girls were actually going through a little bit of a different game. And my daughter was like, I want to go into the tunnel. So I was a bit surprised. Why did he segregate like girls versus boys? So I told him that, my daughter wants to go here. And he's like, no, it's a high trick requirement. She's short. But then I looked at it and I was like, okay, all girls are not short, right? So his bias was that girls are shorter than boys. So instead of saying that, okay, above 120 centimeters here, less than 120, he just made it by girls and boys, right? And my daughter did not accept it. Like, why is the case? So I put her on the height scale and said, like, you don't reach 120, which in her case, she didn't, though some other girls did, right? But I'm giving this small example because it's nothing to do with technology. Now, these biases are there. If we base recruitment on decisions that data that human beings have decided upon, it will have that bias. Today, I talked about in my speech, the bias for if you are a mother or if you're not a mother, if it's written in your CV. There was a research done, and majority of the applicants, it was the exact same skill set, exact same experience. And for some applicants, it was written that they were a mother, and for some, it were not. When it was given to the hiring managers and the recruiters, majority picked up the applicants, I think 79%, who were not mothers, right? Because there's a bias that if you are a mother, you may not be that much paying attention to your career, you may not be that ambitious, you may not be that hardworking. So to Serine's point, there's an input, which is the data, which has some biases that our society have conditioned us upon, and then there's an output. In the middle, you need to make sure that there are frameworks and algorithms which you are aware that your biases are part of that decision making, and you remove them and eliminate them and generate a new output. And that comes from partnerships, collaborations between private sector, public sector, between payment companies like Mastercard, MTN, because everybody today is in the business of data. It's data monetization, it's data automation.
That's right. Well, great. And Serine, now you mentioned when it comes to AI and machine learning and so on, there are some governance that makes a big difference. But I want to, kind of, keeps it in line. But I want to ask a little bit about MTN. How do you maintain at the company the balance between relying on technology such as AI and machine learning and maintaining that very essential human touch when it comes to dealing with everyday human matters?
Yes, no, thank you very much for the question. And I think as Amnah said, usually AI, machine learning are driven by the inputs that you you feed them with. And let me give you one example that I gave earlier when I was on stage, is that we've decided in MTN to, when we advertise a position, a new position, we use AI to now do the selection of shortlisting. From most of the time, we got like more than thousands of applications, and to filter them to 10 that, or sometimes 3 or 5 that will be interviewed by the panel of people who will choose the candidate. We use AI now to do it. But for the first 6 months, what we did was to really make sure that we continue doing it in parallel, and to try to see if the output from the human being that are doing it since long time and the output that we get from the AI are the same. And then if there is difference, we also correct the algorithm to make sure that they match. And it is how we get to now we have 100% matching for several cases before we decided to now abandon the people who are doing it and for them to focus on more qualitative task or work. So I think that is very important, whatever you to put in place to make sure that it is fair, because the outcome would be the same as when human being was doing it, but sometimes you can even improve the outcome and putting more, KPIs or whatever. So it goes back to governance, to make sure that when you use AI, you make sure that you also do it in a way where the outcome will be fair for everyone. And also, the other thing is to how you can protect people who are exposed, so that to make sure that also AI doesn't do something which can also be which will expose someone or will hurt people or whatever. So all of that is part of how you train the algorithms and the output that you are expecting.
So striking the balance is key over
Yes,
here.
it's very important.
I understand. Wonderful. And I want to ask you a bit of a Mastercard-centric question here. How do you ensure that future leaders will have the qualities needed to adapt to culture of innovation and creativity in this very technologically advanced environment that is literally changing day by day?
So I talked today at stage about the 3 driving forces that actually would make us think about writing a new playbook of leadership. One, of course, is the speed of technology. What I am seeing, or what all of us are here seeing in our lifetime, probably if I would ask you 10 years back, you would have never even mentioned about this kind of a lifestyle. There's a speed of technological discipline. Second thing which I talked about is Gen Z. All of us would be recruiting Gen Z, which is a truly digital native generation and so different from ours, right? More purpose-driven, some say impatient, want everything instant, but they know what they want from their lives, right? And the last was gender diversity, right? Still, we want more and more women in the workforce, in leadership positions. So all that means that we have to consider new ways of leadership. And part of it is striking balance between courage and compassion. Would you take more risk on internal female talent who could be 60% ready versus going for an external talent based on a 1-hour interview? It's a very small example, but this just tells you that you may have to adapt your leadership style, because these days nobody has that 20 years of experience in a particular technology that you're looking for, right? If I post a job, 20 years of experience with crypto or AI, I may not get anybody. But thinking about agility, curiosity, pace of execution, empathy, that completely changes the way you promote people or you recruit people. And then within that, if you prioritize women or women returning to workforce after having a gap due to raising the family, those are the kind of leaders we need, who would challenge the status quo. And I think that way we can actually rewrite the future together with the help of technology, which will be more inclusive, more equal, and more balanced. So our daughters and our next generations will not have to go through the same struggles that we did.
I see. Very interesting. And Serigne, Now, technology is used across many companies, but can you give me some examples of how MTN uses this to empower employees rather than replace them? For example, how do you promote a positive work environment with the aid of technology?
Yes, I think I gave you already an example of using AI, for example, to, I think the task to, when you um, advertise a position to recruit a new person, you get thousands of candidates. And to try to select the people who are more suitable to the position, you need to open all CVs, motivations, and read everything. And I think it's such an annoying task. And, so getting AI to do it, and then the people who used to do that would focus on now more qualitative work and spending more time interviewing the 10 people that has been selected to make sure that they fit into the culture of the company, they are suitable for the role, they have the same ambition, the vision with the company, and to get people to really focus on work that only human beings are able to do, or a human being would be able to do, is very important. So for me, it is really empowering people to elevate them and to do things that are more passionate for them, things that they would be able to add value, is very important. But to do that, you need really to people to transit also, and you need to educate people, and for people to get out of fear. And we used to say fight or flight. When there is situation like that, some people will be in flight mode. That means that I'm switching off, I'm not going to do anything, and others will be in a fighting mode, which is I try to learn more. I try to make sure that I train myself to evolve with, my era, with technology and everything. And I think that, the fight mode is something which is much more important, and we need to follow that path.
I see. And I've got a question, a final question for the both of you, please. And this kind of relates to the older work employees within your companies. How do you make sure that they can use these decision-making technologies that are being adapted rapidly into your respective companies? How do you include that kind of older age group to make sure that they're using these technologies in the most efficient way rather than reverting back to their traditional ways of doing business? And Amnah, we'll start with you, please.
Sure. So I think there are a couple of ways you can do that. Of course, there are tools available, there's upskilling available, but I always say that it's a two-way street. And Serigne mentioned it, and he's one of the most human-centric leaders that I know of, but he mentioned walking the talk, right? I took a course in AI mining, and I openly talked about it in my town hall, which was really a surprise for some of the people that why would she do that? Well, I do that because I want to make sure I remain relevant. I want to make sure I have the right content and I'm up to date with the knowledge, because if I built a business 7 years back and I was successful, I cannot assume that I would apply the same principles and I would be successful again, because the world has changed. So raising your hand to realize that, yes, I want to upskill and educate myself so that I remain relevant and I make sure that I am adding value to myself. That's the one way to do it. The second is, I think gone are the days, and it's again about walking the talk, and many people on my team do that, that you have to actually go to a Harvard or a Stanford or an MIT to actually, make yourself relevant, upgrade your skill set, and equip yourself with more knowledge. I mean, a lot of research, even if you simply go to simple AI tools and you ask them what you're looking for, it can be customized to you. I mean, your entire learning program in a matter of seconds can be customized to you. You can learn at your own pace. So I think first of all is the awareness, which comes from the culture of innovation, openness. It's okay to make mistakes, just pivot and learn faster, something that we talk about at Mastercard. Agility. then focusing on your self-learning, identifying it yourself, because we can have the best tools and the best trainings available on the corporate website, but you have to, from within yourself, realize that this is important, and I'm passionate about it. And you may not be passionate about all the things. I don't expect someone would be equally passionate about crypto and AI and cloud computing, etc. No, but pick up what interests you, what's relevant for you, raise your hand and find out the tools. If the tools are not available, go ahead and self-educate yourself. The last thing I would say, it's the network of people that you surround yourself with. A lot of learning just doesn't happen because you're sitting in front of a screen, but it happens because of the quality of people that you interact with, and you build your intellectual acumen, right? So for me, I really talk about, whenever I'm meeting my clients from different industries, each meeting is an inspiration. I'm learning about different industries. I hire subject matter experts for specific industries in my team, and every interaction with them, they're smarter than me, they're better than me, I'm learning from them, right? So I think a very big and important part is self-awareness. And you can start right from the top by walking the talk and telling people that there's no shame in saying this, that I don't know this and I have to learn it to be relevant in today's time.
I see. So don't just depend on your company. It's the buck stops with you, as the team put it. Wonderful. And Serigne, the same for you, please.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me in this is that we need to make it easy and simple for everyone to adapt to the new technology or new way of doing things. Because most of the time, if you hear about AI, the way that the hype, everyone would think that AI is something on the moon and you cannot get access to it. But to simplify it and to make it accessible to people and to bring it to use cases so that people can understand that something very simple. I mean, today you use Microsoft Copilot. When you receive an email, you can just click on it and it will give you a summary of the email. And then it can help you to answer as well. So people can use it without even knowing what is behind it. And later you can tell to them that you're using AI now and getting a summary of your meetings on team meetings and everything instead of writing them. And you can start doing writing and comparing with what the AI will give to you, and you realize that it's almost the same, and you continue training it, and it know your way of doing things. I think is just Amnah talked about people to not be shameful, but the way to make people not being shameful to start is to make it accessible to them and to make it simple to them and to bring it to use cases.
Well, on that note, Serigne Dioum, Ajmal, thank you both very much indeed for your great insights.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.